Hey guys, thanks for clicking the video. Just wanted to give you a quick update as to where we stand with the performance build on this motorcycle. If you're not already aware, this is a 2020 Road Glide Limited in Tahitian teal. It's got several upgrades done to it already. If you're interested in knowing what those are, I would certainly encourage you to go back and check out the other videos. But today we're going to talk about a couple of things. First of which are the new handlebars that I had put on this bike. These are KST Custom Pathfinder handlebars. 12-inch rise on these. I find that they're very comfortable. Kind of give you a quick overview as to where they stand. They come just above the fairing. Been really happy with these handlebars. I find that they're comfortable. They're not too high. Again, these are 12-inch KST Custom Pathfinder handlebars. Next up, doing a motor build on this motorcycle. So right now I've got the S&S 540 cam installed in it. It is a full cam chest, so we've got the upgraded billet cam plate, got the oil pump, lifters, tappets, heavy duty valve springs, the whole nine in there. If you're not aware, the S&S 540 cam, it's a pretty tall cam. When you look at S&S's website, they specifically say that this is really designed for a 124 or 128 motor or larger. Obviously, this is still a 114, and I'll get into the reason why I put this cam in here, even though it's still a 114. Next up, D&D Billet Cat exhaust. When you buy the D&D exhaust, you have two Baffle options. You can either get their Vortex Baffle, or you can get a big bore baffle. So like the cam, the big bore baffle is really designed for a 114 stage 4 or larger motor. If you have just the 114 motor, they really recommend that you run the Vortex baffle. So as you can see, we've got several parts on this motorcycle that are really not designed for a 114. But regardless of that, we're still making some impressive power. So if you're not aware, a stock 114 motor from Harley-Davidson is making approximately 80 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. With the 540 cam installed in the D&D exhaust with big bore baffle, this motorcycle with just a stage 2 and Dynojet tuning is making 122 horsepower and 133 pound-feet of torque. So all things considered, just for a stage 2, I think that's pretty damn good, especially considering it's got parts in it that aren't necessarily designed for a 114 motor. So again, why did we put these parts in here? Well, that's because we're going to an S&S 131 kit. That's what we're building towards. So I've got most of the parts on order already. I have a new flywheel ordered from Dark Horse. So we're going from a stock flywheel with a 4.5-inch stroke to a 4 5/8 inch stroke with the Dark Horse flywheel. So if you're not aware, the Harley-Davidson S131 kit, they achieve their 131 through boring out the jugs. That's how they're getting their bigger displacement. The more expensive way to do it is actually to stroke the motor and put a different flywheel in there, and that's actually the route we're going with this bike. So we've got a Dark Horse flywheel on order for it. In addition to that, I've got some other internal components that I'm going to be upgrading, specifically in the primary. So in addition to the flywheel from Dark Horse, I've also got their Man of War motor sprocket on order to replace the compensator that's in the primary. We're also going to put in a Trask billet clutch basket and a Recluse clutch, all in an effort to basically upgrade the powertrain or upgrade the drivetrain and make sure it's going to be bulletproof to handle the extra power that the motor is going to be making. So haven't really seen any videos on the S&S 131 kit yet, so I'm really interested to see the type of power we're going to make with the 131 kit. Again, currently 122 horsepower, 133 pound-feet of torque. I'd love to kind of get up around the 150 horsepower and torque range. We'll see if that's possible. I'm not exactly sure, but I wanted to kind of do these upgrades incrementally to see where the bike goes in different stages between stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So again, the S&S parts are on order. We're not going to do the heads yet. We're not going to do a full stage 4. So we're going to put the 131 kit in there. We're going to see where we go power wise, and then once that's done, we'll get to look at doing the heads and maybe the air intake as far as the manifold and stuff like that, and whatever else needs done for the extra flow with the heads, and then we'll see where we go power wise from there. So yeah, so stay tuned. I'll give you guys a quick start with this motorcycle. This 540 cam sounds really aggressive. It's got a really heavy chop to it. The cold idle's pretty insane. I will say one thing about the D&D big bore baffle. If you're not into loud pipes, this pipe is not for you. It is an extremely loud pipe. You definitely know that when you're touring with this motorcycle and locking that cruise control on the highway and running long distances. It's definitely a loud pipe. So I'll go ahead and give it a cold start here so you can hear it idle, and then it'll settle into a nice little heavy throaty chop. Of course, I'm recording this on an iPhone, so as you guys know, you're never going to get the true sound of an exhaust through a phone, but this is what we had to deal with. So let me go ahead and start it up, and I'll give you guys a listen. Yeah, she is definitely gnarly. They will certainly hear you coming with this pipe. I will tell you too, I talked to the dealership where I had this work done, and I inquired about the big bore baffle because I didn't see a whole lot of videos online about the big bore baffle. And of course, you know, obviously when you watch these videos, you never get a true feel for the sound of it. And when they had installed this pipe with this particular cam, they told me there was a big difference in the way that this bike sounds when this same pipe and same baffle was installed on the bike that didn't have such an aggressive cam. So the 540 cam, being a high lift cam, really adds a lot to the sound of this motorcycle and how loud that pipe is. If you have a standard 114 with a regular cam in, chances are, you know, it's probably not going to sound that throaty or that loud, but just the way this cam is designed with the way the valves and everything are opening and shutting, that's why you're getting that really heavy chop and that real throaty sound. So just wanted to give a quick update as to where we stand. Again, 2021 Road Glide Limited with full S&S 540 stage 2 kit installed, D&D exhaust with the big bore baffle, tuned with a DynoJet tuner, making some good power, and looking forward to getting the S&S 131 kit installed, seeing what we make once those parts are installed, and then again coming back to revisit it with some heads and some other parts, and then really seeing what this motor is going to do. So stay tuned, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.